Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to test out the new features that I've added for Creative Flow, and that is the ability to bevel the draw object in the second stage of the operation. And this is also true for extract faces. Let's just remove the Boolean objects. And there's also a new setting called select draw object. And this is the behavior of draw faces by default, which when you create or draw something over the active object, when you finish the operation, the one selected will be the draw object and not the active object. And if you want to, for example, draw uh, on the source object again or the active object from before, when using Boolean, you have to select it because the object that's going to be Boolean is the active object. So in order to keep the source mesh or the active mesh always be selected after the operation, just disable this and, for example, draw, and you see that the source mesh from before is the one selected after the operation. So you could just keep drawing. Oops. Okay. And also that behavior is available for draw faces and not extract faces. Also, there is an error in draw faces when using control strips and using the control hotkey to snap the points into middle of verts, the vertices or middle of faces. So that's going to be fixed in the upcoming update. Okay, let's try and select the Boolean. Select Boolean objects, then remove Boolean objects, then delete them. Okay, it's gonna build a simple um, crate. Okay, auto mirror X, Y, and Z, then press space to confirm. And when you're drawing Boolean objects using draw faces, you need to also establish the mirror axis X, Y, and Z, just like that. Um, okay, let's draw. So the basics of drawing, you see the X there. That means that is going to be the depth or the distance from the viewport where the draw object will be created. So for example, if I reset the solidify and bevel just to show you how to do this. Okay. Um, in the cube, it by default it is on the first point, the X. So that means that uh, the cube shape or the box shape will be created at that distance or that surface right there. But you can manually place it by pressing C. If you head over to the next page, I think you can see the place, snap, and reset marker. So you can snap it to the surface of any object using C, and then snap it to center of faces, center of edges, and verts using Shift C. There we go. And then you can reset the marker by pressing Alt C. So when you reset it, it goes back to the default position in the shape that you're in. So in box, it's in the first point. In circle, it's in the middle. And in polygonal, it's in this in this it's in the second point, and in strips, it's in the second point as well. Unless you of course place it manually using C or Shift C. And if you want to place it on the center of the object, you can then press C on the open 3D space in the viewport. It will place it on the assigned geometric center of the object. So you can do like, you can place it, for example, C, and then you can place it on the center. Oops. And here we go. Just like that. But if you're doing this, this direction is the x-axis, and this direction is the y-axis. When we look at the mini 3D axis widget here, so if you try and add, if it's coming from the center, you try and add the y-axis depending on the, because this side of, this side of the draw object is, sorry about that. Okay, that side of the draw object is being, this side of the draw object, because we draw it here, we've drawn it here. This is the face that we've drawn. But on this side, this geometry is being supplied by the solidify modifier. So you can't cut it, just cut it in the y-axis. So if you try and use the y-axis and you go past the symmetry line, you can see an error there. So if you're trying to um, boolean the object true and true, and depending on the angle that you've drawn the draw object. So this is the face that we've drawn, and this is the, and on the side is the geometry supplied by the solidify modifier. So it will create an error when you cross the symmetry line. Okay, unless you draw the draw object in this position. Establish the y. Oops. Okay. And if we use x, so this is the angle that we've drawn the draw object. This is the face. And this side here on the side is the one being supplied by the geometry being supplied by the solidified modifier. So if we use the y-axis, it will create, it's the y-axis. Oh, yeah, that's the x-axis. So if we use the x-axis on this example, it can, okay, x. So there's no error there, but there will be, sometimes it may look correct. It won't physically create an error, but in the, when you apply the mesh, there will be a bunch of vertices that are doubles or vertices that exist in the same space. So you need to be able to know this, and of course disable the relevant axis in this particular situation, which is the x-axis. Okay, let's remove the Boolean objects and let's go back to our chest or crate. So this is going to be an in-gun model, and that you can turn it into quads, but I suggest if you want to turn this into quads, do not use beveling like that, especially with a lot of segments like that, because it's gonna be harder to actually quantify this in the applied version of the mesh. So if you're planning to modify, don't bevel it. Bevel it manually after the booleans are applied. But if this is just a static object in the background, and it's gonna be just an in-gun where you have to triangulate it, you can of course just use bevel. But if there's really no need to quantify the object, then just use ingons and then triangulate it later. Okay, let's use. So the shortcut for the bevel is right here. Bevel width is AD, and increasing the segments is W, and decreasing it is S. So with bevel width, decreasing it is A, and increasing it is B. And the segments, increasing it is W, and decreasing it is S. Okay. So for here, I'm going to try some just a single segment. Oh, I haven't. I should have included the plus shift. So when you see the plus shift in the shortcut, that means that it can slow down the increment. So for example, bevel width, uh, I forgot to put it here, but I can actually use it now. So if just using the AD hotkey, you can see that it's really fast. And but when I combine shift with the AD, you can see that it's slower. Okay. You can press T to reset the bevel and the solidify. And here I could just put it like that. So this just makes these kinds of detail pop out more if you have seen my inset tutorial. Because without that kind of inset like look, you can see that without the bevel, so without the bevel thingy, you can see that this detail is barely recognizable. Let's try and create the same dimension. So this detail pops out more than this one because the we have essentially created bevel the edges, the sharp edges of the Boolean object. Okay, and so I'm just gonna go crazy here and use one. Okay, wait. Oh, I should have disabled the z-axis. I'm going to use blade operation 4, and that is, I think, slice. This creates a separate object, but creates this line here, detailed line, which we can accentuate later using the micro bevel operator. So it will make him, it will make the detail pop out more, so you can bake the detail if you, of course, retopologize it. So you can see it now because I have the outline enabled here. If I turn it off, you can see anything. You can see that the cut is there. So in order to see the cut, we have to use the micro bevel. Use bevel and increase the bevel amount and increase the enable this, harden normals, and then now you can see the detail. But I guess you can just that is a topic for another video. Let's just stick to the normal Boolean operations. So outline, there we go. Draw object. So most of the draw add-ons in Blender is now, I think, been using the grid system. So I think I'm the only one who's staying at the uh, using the view-based system because I just find it faster. It's not accurate like the grid system, but it's never really meant to for accuracy. It's never really meant for accuracy. Or on speed modeling. Go and I think can so we can make use of the cursor. So we can place to manually decide the distance where the draw object will be created. So we want to create here on this part here. There we go. And we're going to draw it here. So if we draw it here in this position, the draw object will be created in that distance. Okay, for the draw strips and increase the bevel. And there's also another bevel here. I'll press 2. So I'm pressing 2 to activate the union. So 1 is difference, 2 is union, 3 is intersect, 4 is slice. Okay. Well, 2. And now we have this kind of handle. You can still affect the design of the Boolean object afterwards. Just select it. So this is the real geometry, and this geometry here, because we draw it here, we've drawn it here. These faces are the real geometry. This side is the geometry being supplied by the solidify modifier. So we can use the draw modifiers. The draw modifiers means that it is the modifiers being used by the draw object. Okay, can establish a thickness here. And also, you can turn off mirror or turn off solidify. There we go. So we have some kind of handle here. So for the Boolean function in CreateFlow, this uh, depending on the model that you want to create, but this is generally designed to get you to a point. Then you really have to apply mesh. Then you have to model um, again after that, because increasing the amount too much boolean on an object will eventually have a overhead or slow down the operation. So this tool is meant for you to actually apply the mesh at some point. Press 1 and disable the z-axis. Okay. Extract faces. Make sure to include the symmetry line. And then space to confirm. And this red border is where the real geometry is. So we can flip the right now if the extract object is being split in the z-axis, we can actually flip this real geometry at the top by using Shift Z, and we can of course symmetrize it in the y-axis and then in the x-axis. But we want it to go true and true, so we won't have to use this, because when they meet in the middle, it will cause an error in the Boolean operation. So disable the x-axis and just control mouse drag thickness, then the offset. And here we're using the y and z axis for the mirror. We can flip it. We can flip the real geometry in the y-axis and also in the z-axis. Shift Z, Shift Y, just like that. Okay. So you can also draw. So in object mode, we have the draw faces. When we go to edit mode, we have the draw cuts. We can draw on the Boolean object or the draw object. Make sure to draw on the real face side and not the geometry and not the side which is being provided by the um, solidify modifier. We can draw here and create interesting effects like this. Actually, with draw cuts, the symmetry axis is more like a preview, doesn't really draw on the other side. So you can turn it off as long as you're drawing on the real geometry side um, of the object, not on the geometry being supplied by the mirror modifier or the solidify modifier. And yeah, that's like where is the real geometry? Forgot. Wait, mirror. Oh, it's on the. So again, draw on the real geometry side. And then you can delete the faces and create effects like that. I guess you can do more. So these are the faces. And so going past the symmetry line. Oh no. This is the real geometry side. I am about to make the same mistake again. And I forgot to bevel. So no longer a crate, but you can um, try and there we go. Let's try this one. And we can fix this one here as well because just select this and make it here. So make sure to transform the Boolean object in edit mode, not in object mode because you will mess up the symmetry line relative to the source object you're trying to Boolean. So make sure to move the design elements in edit mode. Okay, go. I guess we can add more detail to the handle, but I think it's better off being done after we apply the mesh. So this is the real geometry. We haven't applied the plane yet, but things are slowing down as you can see. But can actually you can decide to apply here. Just look at the design. Actually, you can save this file, then click on the plus icon to make a backup copy. In the you can see, OBS can show you the save window because it only records the main window. So basically, the file name, the text box where you write the file names to save. In the right side, there's a minus and plus sign. If you click the plus sign, for example, if you save this as crate, if you um, press the plus sign, it will automatically add a one number to your file name. And if for example, if you have two in there, and if you create plus, it will not create two one, but depending on your file name, it will create three instead. It will smartly detect the number. So that's how you create backups. So for example, if you're planning to apply this detail and you want a backup copy, then you can do that by saving another copy of the file. Um, okay, so let's apply this. Apply. Okay. And then when you apply, and if you plan to create more symmetrized detail, because this is a symmetrical object, um, when you apply the Boolean, the mirror modifier gets applied with it in order for the Boolean modifier to get applied correctly. Okay, so you have to re-establish the mirror after. So just click on the area that you click will be the real geometry side. The rest will be geometry supplied by the mirror modifier. So right now you can just press Ctrl T. If you're finished with the design, you can just triangulate this, and you might think, oh no, um, I made a mess of this. I don't want the triangulation, because sometimes you can just leave this as an ingon because it's easier to just connect words afterwards and create areas that are quads where you can manually model some details in instead of this. But if you happen to triangulate this by accident and save it and then come back and regret what you've done, you can just press Alt J to quadify and F9 to bring up the redo panel. Set this to 180 both, and it still doesn't go. Okay, not that. This one, not Alt J. Okay, this is what happens when I'm really used to the hotkeys in Blender. Blender is like the hotkey king of any 3D app. But if you manage to memorize most of them, it's really the workflow is really fast. But sometimes your brain gets confused of all the hotkeys that you've memorized. So yeah, that's what happened there. So not Alt J. Alt J is Spotify. What I meant to use that was select all the faces X and then use limited dissolve to get rid of the triangulation. Okay. So triangulation can also serve you well with in this kind of detail. So Control T and then Alt J. And then you have this back. Because when you limit dissolve, this will be affected because it's planar. And you can just reestablish the connection between the verts, triangulating, Control T, and then Alt J to codify. Same with this one, Control T, Alt J. And just do a bit of cleanup. It's not gonna be perfect, but it gets you there. There you go. So that's how you repair the geometry if you accidentally triangulate it and regret your action. Okay, so this is our. Okay, let's just shade smooth by angle. I'm using 4.1 by the way, and some people are being confused by the new auto smooth system. Right now, it's also a modifier, and you can also achieve the same effect using shade smooth by angle. Um, Both of them are kind of confusing to use right now. So if you have manually marked sharp edges and if you use any of this, you click this, your manually marked sharp edges are going to be removed. And if you use this smooth by angle, let me see, um, UV sphere, smooth by angle, ignore sharpness. If I mark sharp this, it doesn't get sharp. With the previous version, if you shade auto smooth and you manually mark sharp an object, these edges will be sharp. Okay, if we remove this and shade smooth, you can see that these edges are sharp. Okay, and shade smooth by angle, I think also works. So mark sharp. But the let me show you this. So this is kind of like a sharp angle. Loop tools, flatten, and shade smooth by angle. Okay, you have the mark sharp edges by the shade smooth by angle, which is this part here, and you have your manually marked sharp edges here. Now I want to get rid of the effects of this one here, of the sharpness of this one, so I'm going to use shade smooth by angle, and do not keep sharp edges. Oh wait, please. Oh my god, mark sharp. Okay. So I need to reset the smoothing by shade smooth and click on this. I mean disable this. My mark sharp edges, oh god. Oh my god. And this is a really simple model. I of course I can quickly remember the mark sharp edges. But this is if this is like a robot and really complicated robot design, you have manually marked sharp edges everywhere, because you want to mix the smooth shading plus this sharp shading. And if you use any of this feature and disable the give sharp edges, your manually sharp uh, mark sharp edges are will be gone. Okay, so that's really annoying. But there is no way for Blender to keep track of your manually mark sharp edges unless you create a simple step. Manually mark sharp edges and mark sharp. Oh my god, it got rid of the. Oh my god, it got rid of the marks. Keep sharp edges. Okay, so manually mark sharp edges and sharp edges here. So we have so excuse the we've gone away from the real topic, but let me just show you how you can keep the manually marked sharp edges. You keep it in vertex group. Control G, assign to new vertex group. F9. What? Where's the name? There's supposed to be a name on that. Okay, can't rename it. Okay. So group and then shade smooth. Do not keep sharp edges. And then select this and mark sharp. Okay. So if you have a really complicated hard surface design and you mess it up using this new feature, overhaul of the auto smooth feature in the Blender, you mess it up somehow. You have to do this beforehand. You have to group to assign your manually marked sharp edges in a vertex group before you use any of this new functionality. Okay, just to save you some trouble. Okay, we're back. So what am I going to tell you again before we? Okay, draw faces in the new update. Also, with the beveling in the second stage of the draw, there is also change to the draw strips. So with polygonal, you can see that from before the last point is considered. So right now, the last point is not considered. So this striped object is actually seeing you the shape that's going to be drawn when you press space. And that is true also for that change is also made for strips. Choosing number 4, the last point will not be considered. So this moving point is not considered attached to the mouse, but the the drawn faces will only be the first this the previously drawn point from the last point. So pressing space, you only have these two strips there. And if you have this, this will no longer work. It will show you the not enough points. You have to actually draw. So if I confirm this, this one will, the first strip will be the only one drawn, and the last strip, which is attached to the mouse cursor, will be ignored. So this makes it more intuitive to use. So from before, the last point is actually being considered. So you have to manually align that and keep a steady breathing to avoid moving it, and then press space at process. So right now it's much easier. Okay. So yeah, I got a little sidetracked by the normal update, but I just have to show you because I use AutoSmooth a lot, especially with this with the add-on, random flow add-on. So I just have to show you how it works now. And also AutoSmooth functionality and random flow, it will, whatever the smoothing of your source object, the random results will obey the shading shading condition of your source mode. Okay, so I think that's it. That is the first video. So yeah, that will be in the next. This will be in the next update, which is coming pretty soon. And yeah, if you have any question, use the comment section below or the links in the description. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.